Welcome back to Rebuilding WoW in Unity. This is Devlog number 8. And this week's efforts have been spent on character and equipment systems. So now we have actual humanoid characters wearing their armor and weapons, and having the animations play, and even little things like having their fingers wrap around the weapons correctly. So I'll do my best to explain how it all works as I go, but let's get into it. So before I go into explaining how the WoW character models all work, I'd like to just show a little demo of the retail client compared to the Unity client now. I spent a bit of time getting the tile screen working a bit more accurately. I think there's still things I'm missing, like clouds, and some of the lighting is not quite there yet, but it's progress. So if we look on the WoW client at what the characters are supposed to look like, yeah, you'll have to use your memory on this one. This is what they all generally look like, and we'll go through the same characters on the Unity client next. So I got the characters customizations displaying correctly now. At least it should be correct. And yeah, there's a lot of time was spent on the screen in particular. I haven't actually got the Death Knight background working just yet, so yeah, not as dramatic. But yeah, like this is the character the character and equipment system sort of in motion. Now I can put that down and expand this. So yeah, right away I could say like character system is very complicated. The WoW character model isn't like one mesh. It's a collection of interchangeable meshes, as you probably saw in the last video, with all the geo sets activated at once. It looks interesting, but in a way you have to build a system that tames those meshes into displaying what should be displayed at that point in time, and that's driven by what equipment that character is currently wearing. So on the character creation screen, what's driving this is the starter equipment, and all of that can be found in the database for any character. And so, warriors will have this sort of mesh, but then if they're female, they'll have a different chest texture applied, and same thing with the legs. And it varies, and sometimes if that particular race class combo doesn't exist, then you end up naked. So that's like a little thing. But yeah, so overall this character creation screen does work. So you can change like skin color, the face shape, hairstyle, hair color, and like accessories or facial hair, depending on what that particular race has set up. It's pretty cool to see working. But yeah, I mean, it's probably worth mentioning, like, I think a lot of this is actually just textures being applied to a base mesh. So what separates out like robes from legs, like trousers or whatnot, it's actually just the base mesh itself changing. It's not actually a robe being applied on top of legs. It's the legs are completely swapped out for a set of robe legs. And it's the same thing that applies to like gloves. I'm not sure if any of them have actually. Yeah, so the Death Knight is interesting because the starter equipment for the Death Knight has a helmet in the shoulders and a cloak as well. So this was my test case for that, and it may be hard to see, but like even the sleeves and the gloves and all that, they're all it's essentially a base mesh that's been changed, and then a texture has been applied, and the textures themselves are quite low resolution, but it's a very cheap way of having character customization without lots of storage being spent on mesh data and texture data. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I think this is mostly what I wanted to cover. I'll get into the game next, and we'll go from there. So I'd like to talk about how that same system that is driving the player character is now also being applied to entities or NPCs within the game. So in the last video, we had what are considered like true creatures, like monsters, so kobolds and whatnot. They all have like their own mesh as it is. Not very many like customization like options. If there's any customization with a true creature, it's usually just an entirely different mesh and a different texture being applied. But when it comes to humanoid entities like guards and shopkeepers and whatnot, they have more customization options available. So yeah, we have like the guard here who has the guard outfit, and what's worth highlighting here is things like the helmet, shoulders, and the weapons. They were separate, so um, they were put on later, and everything else, like the chest piece, legs, gloves, boots, they were similarly just a baked mesh onto that particular character. And it's interesting to see that optimization, like that pattern, being played out, and it's quite versatile. And I think that's something that gives classic WoW, especially the older versions of WoW, a lot of charm, is that it's quite simple texture swaps, but there's so much variation that it doesn't really feel dull in a way. But anyway, so yeah, this is like with NPCs. So guards have their weapons, and worth highlighting how much time I spent trying to get their hands to wrap, like their fingers to wrap around the weapon. I don't know, but yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah, they all have their thing, and blacksmiths are holding their hammers. And if we go see, I don't know, some of the Defias NPCs, they should be wearing their mask. Um, let's see if we can find any. So yeah, there's some over here. So yeah, there they are, red mask. And that's also something when it comes to like head uh, items. They, depending on the type of helmet, so if it's like a face mask, it should still show like the hair at the top, but it may hide the facial hair. And I think I had some bugs where it would say, for instance, put this mask on, but then the top of their head would just be missing because I was incorrectly like hiding their hair, when really it needs to be driven based on the type of helmet, what should be hidden. So that's something. Here's a group of them. But yeah, I think that, yeah, I, I suspect they're all dead. There's a guard that likes to go killing endlessly. Um, I do need to drive the animation system a bit more, and I think that'll come in future videos. But anyway, yeah, I mean, the characters are looking good. Um, so yeah, I think for the last bit, I'll show remote players and how they all work next. So I'll get into that. Last up, we've got remote players. So yeah, within the update packet that gets sent from the server to the client, there's appearance fields, and that like drives what what each player looks like, what race, gender, customizations, and equipment they're equipped with. So yeah, we've got this troll here being somewhat rendered correctly. I noticed he's actually wearing shoes properly and covering his toes, but there's just so many bugs that are bound to be found with how many possibilities exist. That's just part of the charm. But yeah, uh, it's pretty cool to see. And anyway, I think at this point now, I I'm still a bit torn between, do I try to continue making this Unity client more like the retail client visually, or maybe even like trying to enhance it where possible, or do I get into the fun part, which is like the gameplay systems and actually like killing monsters and all that with a hotbar and ability system. I think that's going to be a big milestone to reach with this client. But if you've got any preference as to which direction I should go, I'd be interested to hear. Um, but yeah, I think I'll leave it here now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.